Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk About It. Before I begin, I just want to say I had an awesome time in Atlanta to visit my cousin for the week, and I'm now back in Texas. And I know that I'm a little late with getting this message out to you guys, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it now and knock it out. All right, so let's dive into it. So, this week's article is Stop Trying to Save Everyone. But I want to start off with a question. What is one thing you've been carrying that was never yours to carry? Think about that for a minute. What is one thing you've been carrying that was never yours to carry? And I know it's kind of like a heavy question, but it's one thing I think we as teachers that we need to ask ourselves before we start another school year. One of the things I wrote about in this article is that one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn as a teacher had nothing to do with lesson plans, classroom management. It was learning the difference between helping people and carrying people. When I first started teaching, I honestly thought being a good teacher meant saying yes to everything. If somebody needed help, I wanted to help them. If somebody had a problem, I just basically wanted to figure out, like, how can we fix this thing together? Like, what do we need to do? I wanted to help fix it. And I didn't think anything was wrong with it. But most teachers, we get into this profession because we care. We care about our kids, we care about our coworkers, we care about doing our job. But one thing that I realize is that sometimes caring turns into carrying. And when we don't even notice that we're carrying somebody else's problems. That's the thing. Like, we don't even notice what's happening. So, for example, have you ever spent your entire planning period helping somebody else and then realize you didn't even get anything done that you need to see it done? We've all been there. Or maybe you've gotten home and thinking about a conversation that you had with a parent, and you kept replaying that conversation over and over and over in your head, like what I should have done different. Maybe, I should have said this, or whatever the case may be. Or maybe you was just frustrated about something that admin made a decision on. And of course, even though there was absolutely nothing you could do to change whatever that decision was that admin just made. But of course, those things are exhausting. Not because teaching is exhausting, but because we've picked up things that don't belong to us. And one line from the article, it says that somewhere along the way, we convince ourselves that saying no meant we don't care. I think that's worth talking about, because I don't believe saying no means you don't care. I think it means you understand your role. You can support a coworker without becoming their counselor. You can care about a student without believing you're responsible for fixing every problem in their life. You can listen to someone vent or that had a bad day without carrying that day into your classroom. And that's the big difference that people do not realize. For me, the word is boundaries. So, as we get ready to head back to school, I just want to encourage you to think about what you're carrying. Are you carrying your responsibilities, or are you carrying everybody else's responsibility? Because if we spend all of our energy pouring into everything and everybody else, eventually our students get whatever we have left. And of course, I know this is going to sound cliche, but they deserve our best. So before this school year begins, I want you to think about one thing that you've been carrying that was never yours to carry. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And of course, like I always tell you, if you haven't read this week's article, you can find it at drvanessawilliams.com. And of course, thank you for joining me for another talk about it session. And I'll see you next week.